everyone, I'm Ting.
And Ruohan.
And now we are at the gate of the Red Gate Art Studio and we are going to meet our friend Javier. Let's go.
Here it is a small village in Chaoyang district. It is not prosperous as downtown. The Red Gate Art Studio stands here. It provides a place for artists in residence to live and work. Today we are going to interview two artists, Javier and Jacob.
Hello, Javier. Can you come in?
Yes, definitely.
Thank you. And why do you choose China to be your destination?
I've always been fascinated by its culture, and since I'm very little, and so I thought me as an artist, it's a great opportunity to be able to practice and get to meet more of a lot of things that I've been interested about.
And Beijing is the capital of China.
Yes, it is the capital of China, and then also culturally, it's also very vibrant as a city.
Yes.
There's a lot of arts here, so that really inclined me to pick Beijing.
This village stands far away from downtown. Here you can see many boutiques with abundance of commodity, and the road is not very broad. It only allows one car to pass by.
Beijing is a big city, but this village is a very small village. So do you feel surprised when you see the surroundings?
Well, we're in Jacob village, and I love it.
Love it?
I love it. I really, even when Beijing is so big and has so much cosmopolitan areas, it's also very nice to be in a space where it resembles perhaps a little bit more like my home. And it also, you can sense the sense of community here, right? Which is very beautiful.
Although it's far from the downtown.
Yes, but I don't mind it. I've been in other cities, and it's just really nice to have a space where artists can exchange.
Oh yes.
And so if that's the price, to just be a little bit outside the city, but just a little far from the center, I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
It gives me a little bit of time to either be in the rush of the city, or also just be a little bit more by myself, or just around the town itself, and be able to walk and be able to reflect on things so I have the two options, which is great.
China is a great attraction for our artist. Scenery, sport, food left a deep impression to him. It is a great, fantastic experience.
Do you have some other pleasant experience here after you've been in China?
Yes, I have visited a lot of the palaces. Summer Palace is definitely my favorite. I think it's just a beautiful space. It is, right?
I agree.
It's very romantic. It has so much history. It has so much. You can feel it still to this day. I have visited the Great Wall, and so I think in general, the food has been really good. I've learned how to do dumplings. I want to learn how to do soup dumplings. So I've been just taking notes, learning a lot of, trying a lot of new ingredients as well. Being introduced to tea. I'm now really into tea. I still don't know too much about it, but I'm getting much more and more into it. So I think it's in the small things that I've been enjoying, and then just exchanging with the local artistic community. That's been very important.
In this studio, Javier works here every day. He paints some pictures, takes some photos and videos, and does some installation. He also showed us some of his works. His works are so splendid that we're all attracted.
So what kind of work you want to make here in China?
Yes, so I'm fascinated by fireworks.
Fireworks?
Fireworks, the burst.
Oh,
Yes. And so I've been just painting them ongoingly, and definitely has been something like I want to expand on, kind of like their meaning and their symbolism. It's something that very attracts me, and then also like it's just like so ephemeral, meaning they just last just for a second. It's a burst.
Just like a flower and very big in the
Exactly.
sky.
But it's just like a moment, you know.
Yeah,
And so it's like for me to paint them, it's particular because the fireworks just end so fast, and I'm just trying to like make them last forever.
Yeah.
And then just like the collective nature of it, like me looking at a firework while you're looking at a firework,
Yeah.
and we're both having a connection through the firework.
Oh yes.
You
Just
know?
like the moon is on the sky and both
Correct.
of us can see it.
Correct. And so like I have an experience with it and you have an experience with it. So it's like a subjective nature of it, but then it's collectively consumed.
Yes.
Yes.
Javier told us he would like to find some symbolism behind what he has seen about some culture and tradition. He also tries to communicate with local people in order to know more about China.
Have you ever met some difficulties or problems here?
Plenty. But they're all like in a positive sense, you know. Communication has been interesting. I still do not know too much Chinese. And then particularly the numbers, the way that like I thought it was simple for me to like say like ask for prices, but then I didn't know, you know, Paul and these 10 and all these, like the way I do numbers even in my fingers is different. So I had no idea. I just do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. If it's more than 10, then I go like 10, 20, you know, twice that.
Javier is really a nice guy, and we had very good conversation with him.
And goodbye.
Bye-bye.
Okay.
Now we are going to interview Jacob.
This village gives Jacob many inspirations, such as some people living here, a garage, and even some bricks. He took some photos of them and tried to find connections.
I will walk around this area and get some inspiration from it, from this area.
Yeah, I've been walking around here every day, almost. So between here and the city, I've been spending a lot of time just walking around and trying to just get a sense of what people do in the village and how they live and what that kind of day-to-day life is like. Yeah. Problems with that.
Yeah.
But I'm interested in, I think, when we first got here, we were staying in Somerton. And so when you're in downtown Somerton, in that area, there's obviously like a high proportion of wealth. There's lots of wealthy people there. There's lots of shopping centers. So there's a different moving between the city and out here. There's much different kind of understanding of what it means to be a person. I think like whether wealth is important or what is important to be a person. So obviously people out here are living a much more difficult life, I imagine. They have to work a lot harder to make money in. But I think, you know, there's certain things that they may enjoy more out here versus being in the city. And there's things that you can.
He told us Chinese culture is very different from his own country's culture, but the younger generation in any country can be connected by internet.
So what impressed you most in China?
I think about what I said before, just the way that traditional culture really kind of butts up with contemporary culture. You know, there's kind of, I think, our generation is just a big shift in understanding what it means to be a person and understanding. I think the world is getting smaller. We're all more connected now via the internet, and people are learning about the world in different ways than maybe my parents and your parents did. So I think there's something interesting happening here where, for me, coming from the outside, where maybe China's been closed off for a long time to a certain extent. I feel like there's a bigger kind of exchange of knowledge occurring between the East and the West, and so that's really interesting for me. I think there's something exciting about that. I'm excited to see what happens.
In his work, he tries to express his feeling about what he has seen. He shows a panorama of his understanding on something, about history, about social relationship.
What do you want to express in your work, in your video, in your photograph, in your picture?
I think everything that I do is just about maybe getting people to consider how they're looking at things, and so I think maybe what would be useful for me to do is to, I think when you live in spaces, you just get used to them. You understand them, and you don't maybe think about why certain things are like they are. And so I'm really interested in when artists focus specifically on things, it gives the public a chance to reconsider what they're looking at. And so I'm hoping that whoever sees my work will go, I wonder why that is like that, or whatever I make will be able to bridge some gaps between past and present and create a new dialogue and get people to think about what they're looking at.
Like most foreigners, language is the biggest challenge during his stay in China. It is a pity that you can't go deep into some specific of culture.
So what's the biggest challenge during your visit to art?
I think from what I can gather and kind of just observe, that culture and language are really intertwined in China. And so I think if you don't know the language, you're losing a lot of the subtleties and the specifics of the culture.